The latest on the Nico Iamaleava saga and Texas making some waves in the spring portal. Locked On SEC starts right now.
You are Locked On SEC, your daily podcast on the Southeastern Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And what's up, everybody? Welcome to Locked On SEC. It's great to have you guys along. I'm Chris Gordy. Thanks for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. Shout out to everydayers. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. All right, we got to dive right back into this. The latest on the Nico Iamaleava saga and some of the news out there. Obviously, if you haven't been following it, last week, Nico Iamaleava, of course, well, it's been over a week since he's been no longer a member of the Tennessee Volunteers. And obviously, despite all those big lucrative NIL deals that guys were getting, and obviously Nico got one coming to Tennessee a couple of years ago, Iamaleava's team was, according to reports, negotiating with Tennessee to get more deals. And then that led to him setting up practice, and basically Tennessee deciding to move on from him. But Iamaleava's father has refuted those deals in the last week, saying that it wasn't about money. It was about the football and things like that. And even our buddy Chris Marler dove into the numbers and said, yeah, it wasn't about the Josh Heupel offense. You look at Nico's 2024 season, and it was one of the worst for a Josh Heupel coach quarterback since 2017, recording the third lowest QBR, lowest yards per attempt of any quarterback. But of course, all the fallout of this on, what's going to happen with Nico and where's he going to end up and all this. Tom Luginbill, ESPN analyst, he was on a podcast this week, and he said when he was a recruit, he said Nico was the top 5 overall player based on physical talent, but we ranked him number 23 because we were really worried that there were some red flags and some concerns in relationship to the process, how they were getting to the end point. And it's been my experience that starts taking place, it does not come to a screeching halt. It carries over into college. And among the accusations regarding Nico, college football analyst Josh Pate revealed on his show that Iamaleava nearly sat out the Vols' first ever playoff game last year. Well, Nico broke his silence on Friday. We hadn't heard from him to dispel that notion that he almost sat out the college football playoff game last December, posting that, one Instagram post saying, damn, I tried to sit out and throw the playoff game too. These boys just make me laugh, man. Ain't no way. Iamaleava also addressed comments from fans on social media that said he purposefully threw that game against the Buckeyes. Remember, they got blown out in the playoff game. He said, me and Navy Schuler talking about how I'm going to throw this game real quick, with 2 laughing emojis and a picture of him and Navy Schuler in the pregame. And look, while he may not have attempted to throw the game, it was his worst game as a Vol. He threw for just 104 yards on 31 pass attempts, and Tennessee lost to Ohio State 42-17. Now, the question is, where's he going to end up? A lot of reports are pointing to he is going to end up at UCLA after entering the transfer portal. But still some things to be worked out there. And this week, Joey Aguilar, quarterback that UCLA brought in this offseason, reportedly has a $1 million NIL deal. He was at practice. And some people saying, well, yeah, look, just because there's rumors that Nico might be coming in, Joey Aguilar is not going to suddenly just not be practicing for UCLA. And Trey Wallace, I think, put out there, multiple sources say Aguilar has not been flustered by talk of Nico Iamaleava. He is handling his business. Now, just a couple things here. Some say that Nico putting out those messages on social media show it wasn't just the family was the problem, right? I mean, that's what some people are going, oh, he's just a kid. He's just going by what those around him are telling him. His parents, his advisor, his agent, whatever. Some think Nico putting that stuff out there is kind of saying, oh, he was kind of dictating some of these terms. And a joke that was thrown in there, just to throw this in there. Somebody tweeted, even if he did try to throw the playoff game, it would have been incomplete. Look, we talked about this. He he wasn't one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC last year, let alone one of the best quarterbacks in the country. But I thought he was going to get better, right? Another year in the Josh Heupel system, more talent around him. I just thought, projecting, like I thought he was going to take a big step or had the potential to take a big step this year in the Tennessee offense. But now that is not a thing. He will go elsewhere. So now the question is, where does Tennessee go for a transfer quarterback? Well, they have Jake Merklinger. They have George McIntyre on the roster, two quarterbacks that they've recruited that are not proven. And so all the reports out there that Tennessee is going to go to the transfer portal. Notre Dame quarterback Steve Angeli entered the portal this week, and that indicates that likely CJ Carr has secured that starting job at Notre Dame. Angeli, of course, made some appearances last year on that Notre Dame team behind Riley Leonard. And Tennessee may be looking at Angeli. Jared Garantano, former Tennessee quarterback, he took to social media to give his thoughts. He tweeted out on Thursday, Bergen Catholic to a team in orange with the eyeball emoji. Of course, Garantano referring to the fact that he played at Bergen Catholic before playing at Tennessee, and Angeli played there as well. On3 put out a report. They said Angeli's portal entry comes as Tennessee evaluates the quarterback market. Sources tell On3 that the Vols will evaluate Angeli, but Tennessee continues to wait to see how the quarterback market develops. Pete Thamel of ESPN saying Tennessee will need to find an immediate and significant upgrade who could seamlessly transition and thrive in 2025, and that would involve a transfer, learning a new offense, winning over the team, and having the arm talent to be an adequate maestro in Heupel's up-tempo system. Thamel went on to say if this is going to be an established Power 4 starter, he'd also have to be okay walking away from a locker room, coaching staff, and teammates who he has bonded with for months ahead of the season. Well, I mean, that's just how the transfer portal works, right? I mean, everybody's going to be leaving a situation that they're in a good spot. But I've argued this. I mean, is it a better spot to go be coached by Josh Heupel at Tennessee? Look at Heupel's track record. He's had really good track record with good quarterbacks. Hendon Hooker is in the NFL. Joe Milton is in the NFL. He's had a great track record. And so, can somebody better their situation by going to Tennessee? One other report here, the Fort Worth Star-Telegram reported that Tennessee reportedly offered TCU quarterback Josh Hoover more than $1 million than he's currently making to come be Tennessee's starting quarterback. He shut it down quickly to remain the starting quarterback for the Horned Frogs, according to this report. Now, Hoover is already making a seven-figure NIL deal at TCU, according to the Star-Telegram. Started all 13 games in his first full year under center for TCU last year, completed 66% of his passes, 3,900 yards, 27 touchdowns, 11 picks. I haven't seen anybody else verify that. I mean, it's certainly possible that Tennessee called and was sniffing around. And Tennessee may just have like a pool of money that they're saying, hey, this is the, forget whatever your asking price is. This is what we have. This is the money that's available. And so if Hoover's making $1 million at TCU already, and Tennessee called and said, we can offer you $2 million, that may just be the number that Tennessee is offering whoever, any proven quarterback out there. So we'll see on that. But again, Josh Hoover staying put at TCU. If Tennessee was even truly offered at all, we don't have any other reports confirming that. But Tennessee is losing some depth on their team this offseason. They're losing redshirt sophomore Aiden Bussell, the offensive lineman, played 2 seasons in his home state program. He is on the move. They're also losing defensive back Christian Charles to the portal, and defensive back safety John Slaughter, 6'2", 197 pounds, appeared in 23 games over the past 2 seasons. Going to be a true junior next year. He is on the move. So those are the latest guys to hit the portal for Tennessee, joining Nico Iamaleava. Now, one quick note here before we fully turn the page off of quarterback talk in the SEC. How about some news over at Florida? As Billy Napier, speaking this week, expecting DJ Lagway to be 100% when Florida starts their OTAs the first week of June. The Gator head coach said that a week ago with reporters, and then reiterated that on Friday, making an appearance on the SEC This Morning show on SiriusXM with Peter Burns and Chris Doring. Of course, Lagway's been limited during spring ball with a shoulder injury that has been around since his high school days, according to reports. And that injury has led to some people wondering about Florida's ceiling this year. And if that shoulder injury is a nagging injury, Billy Napier has consistently said that Florida is not overly concerned about DJ Lagway in this injury, saying that he is in a great place, was able to practice in a limited capacity while staying connected with the team. Napier going on to say, we have no concern. We've dotted all the I's and crossed all the T's. We've been a little bit short-lipped, tight-lipped about it, just in respect to the family and the way they want to handle it. But in general, we have a really good plan. We're working with exceptional people. He will begin throwing here in a couple weeks. Everything is on schedule. And so, yeah, look, I think it was Matt Hayes had a report about it, basically saying, like, they believe, like, the shoulder injury is going to require surgery at some point. But he played through it in high school. They think he could play through it this year and be all right. And then at the end of the year, they'll adjust. The only concern was, if he has to have the surgery now, he will not be ready for the start of the season because of the timetable for recovery. So again, they're saying it's no big deal. The Lagway campus say it's no big deal. So again, have every reason to believe that DJ Lagway will be healthy. Florida's going to be great, and they'll take on this juggernaut of a schedule, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, look, it's certainly something to keep an eye on because everybody's expecting big things out of DJ Lagway. I'm a big fan of his, and we'll certainly watch that. But look, if Napier says he's going to be back out of practice throwing soon, great. We'll look for that come June, and hopefully no snags with DJ Lagway there. All right, still more to come here on Locked On SEC. When we return, Texas making some big splashes in the transfer portal. That's coming your way here in just a second. Hey, but first, did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? You could turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console is required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe, or sign into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and Avowed as easily as you can stream your favorite shows. It is gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. The latest technology for elevated playing with Wi-Fi 6/6E and auto low latency mode advanced technology. Fire TV Stick 4K is going to deliver smoother, more responsive gameplay with lightning fast speeds when you need to stay competitive. Of course, with 4K streaming, you can watch more than 1.5 million movies and TV episodes from your favorite subscribed services like Netflix, Prime Video, Disney Plus, Max, and more. And they've got affordable and portable gaming. Play high-quality Xbox games at a fraction of the cost of a console. If you already have a console, a Fire TV Stick 4K device is more affordable and easier to travel with, allowing you to take you or your kids' games wherever you plug in. Of course, check it out. You can head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller is required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K, Fire TV Stick 4K Max, and Fire TV Cube. That's the third gen of that. Go check it out. It's really cool. I like the college football game a lot. And this is another option. Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On is the site. All right, roll along here to Locked On SEC. Thank you guys for making us your first listen. Shout out to everydayers. Keep coming back and checking us out each and every day. Hey, the Texas Longhorns making some waves in the transfer portal. So let's dive into that as Texas added a depth piece on the defensive side of the ball on Friday. Cal transfer, offensive side. Cal transfer tight end Jack Endries has signed with Texas. Pete Nakos was the first to report the news of On3. Endries spent 3 seasons at Cal, redshirted in 22, played 26 games with the Bears. He's a former walk-on, started every game for Cal over the last 2 seasons. We'll have 2 seasons of eligibility remaining. It's interesting. They lose Gunnar Helm, who really stepped up in a big way, became a, 91 career receptions for 1,000 yards for Gunnar Helm, was a second-team freshman All-American. And look, for Jack Endries last fall, he was Cal's leading receiver, 56 catches, 623 yards. So big time pickup there for Arch Manning and company. Jack Endries. They do say he has work to do as a blocker. Pro Football Focus giving him a low blocking grade, but they did use him more in the slot than they did as an inline tight end. So he is a nice pass catching tight end, and that'll give Arch Manning a nice underneath option. Longhorns also making some other pickups in the portal, including a 4-star Houston product, Nick Townsend, and 3-star Georgia prospect, Emery Winston, out of the high school class. How about the kicker side of things? So for Texas, Bert Auburn is departing Texas as their all-time record holder for made field goals with 66. He still had another year to try to earn that job at Texas, but he made news on Thursday announcing he is entering the transfer portal, posting, "Thank you, Texas. Through all the ups and downs. These have been some of the best years. Been an honor to be a Longhorn." Move comes after Steve Sarkisian recently said Bert Auburn was still competing with Will Stone for their starting kicker job. Of course, Bert Auburn did have some kicking struggles at the end of last year, went 16-25 on the year, but 6 of those misses came late in the year, including, remember that SEC championship game? So we'll see who ends up being the kicker there at Texas. They did make an addition, though. Former Texas State kicker Mason Shipley on Friday evening announced he is heading to Texas, one of the more highly recruited kickers in the portal. He made 31 of 35 field goals during his collegiate career so far. Of his 31 made field goals, 3 of them have been beyond 50 yards. And again, this kind of feels like the writing was on the wall, right? Bert Auburn out. In comes Mason Shipley from Texas State, and assuming he'll compete with Stone for that starting kicker job. But Longhorns been very busy in the transfer portal. One other piece they added Friday, Longhorns signed Maryland transfer defensive lineman Lavon Johnson. On 3 reporting that Johnson signed a contract earlier the same day with North Carolina, but it seemed like he reversed course just hours later and opted to go with the Texas Longhorns. Matt Zenitz reporting Johnson has officially signed with Texas. 6'2", 311-pound lineman, appeared 14 games for Maryland across the last 2 seasons. And, Texas making some moves, adding some pieces. Johnson becomes the 7th scholarship D lineman to join Texas this offseason. They also have one of 4 transfer additions on the D-line, joining Ohio State transfer Hero Kenu, North Carolina transfer Travis Shaw, and Purdue transfer Cole Brevard, however you want to say it. Texas did lose an old lineman to the portal, though, this week. Malik Agbo entering the portal. Over 3 seasons in Austin, played 170 snaps, allowing 0 sacks, according to Pro Football Focus. Over at Georgia, 2 players who were suspended indefinitely from the team a month ago are entering the spring portal. Offensive lineman Marcus Easley and wide receiver Nitro Tuggle are on the move. The 2 Bulldogs were disciplined in March for separate incidents involving reckless driving. And I don't know if it's Kirby sending the message or whatever, but Tuggle did consider transferring from Georgia in the winter portal, but ultimately decided to stay in Athens. Following a driving-related arrest and a suspension in the spring, he has decided to move on. And, of course, the Athens Banner-Herald reported last month that Easley was involved in a vehicle crash. Kirby Smart, of course, disciplined him, and moving on. We know about all the history of driving-related incidents there at Georgia. We don't have to go down that road. All right, over at LSU, they are losing former running back John Emery. No surprise there. We had talked about that happening, but he had announced on social media that he got another year of eligibility, a 7th year of college football eligibility. And Brian Kelly, speaking with the media shortly after that, was kind of like, look, we love John, but we're kind of full at the running back position. We brought in Harlan Berry. We got Caden Durham back. Like, we love him, but we're kind of full here. So John Emery officially entering the portal. We'll see where he ends up. Again, he had a 6-year super senior season last year that was cut short after he had an ACL injury after just 1 game. So John Emery, productive back, but moving on. See where he ends up for his 7th year of college eligibility. All right, over at Mizzou, making a big pickup yesterday. How about tight end Gavin Hoffman, a redshirt freshman who started his college career at Iowa. Did not see any game action, but listed at 6'5", 237 pounds. Should say didn't see any action in the bowl game, Music City bowl game, where Mizzou beat the Hawkeyes to end the season. But coming out of high school, Hoffman was a 4-star prospect and the number 2 player out of Kansas. And Eli Drinkwitz likes his tight ends. So we'll see what he does. Like I said, no game experience, brings elite size. And new Penn State quarterback Bo Pribula coming into Mizzou. If he wins that starting job, could Gavin Hoffman be among his targets at tight end? We will see. Over at Oklahoma, they are losing a former 5-star Oklahoma D lineman. David Stone is on the move. Spent 1 year in Norman, and he's moving on. Stone did not make a huge impact for Oklahoma his freshman year, played just 94 snaps, was the number 9 overall player and the number 2 defensive lineman in the country in the class of 2024. So he becomes one of the more highly touted recruits to enter the transfer portal. He, of course, will not be able to go to an SEC program and be immediately eligible because of that transfer rule. Leaving an SEC school in the spring portal, you can't go to another SEC school and play later that year. So see where he ends up. All right, thank you guys for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. Of course, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Coming up next, a little bit of a tribute to Lee Corso leaving, announced that he will be leaving College Game Day. That is coming your way in just a second. All right, roll along here, Locked On SEC, part of Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. We will get to some news on Lee Corso and College Game Day, and of course what he's meant to that show in just a second. But did want to pass along an Auburn basketball transfer portal nugget. Chad Baker Mazzara announced on his social media account Thursday that he is leaving Auburn and entering the transfer portal. 6'7" guard, was big time player for Auburn and big defensive force for them. Moved around to a couple of different colleges, but just turned 25 in January. Still has 1 year of eligibility remaining, and we'll see where he ends up. But Bruce Pearl is now, with that move, Bruce Pearl has now lost his entire starting 5 from a year ago. That team that won the SEC regular season title, was the number 1 overall seed in the NCAA tournament. Auburn has made a few additions via the portal, picking up Keyshawn Hall from UCF and Keyshawn Murphy from Mississippi State. So nice adds there for Auburn, but man, they got a whole new team, at least starting lineup for next year. All right, let's get to this tidbit. Lee Corso has announced that he is going to make one more appearance on College Game Day, and we'll call it a career. Rece Davis wrote a touching letter about Corso's impact on the college football world. He posted it, "What Lee Corso means to me." Of course, had plenty of love and appreciation for his cohort on College Game Day. Called Lee Corso the cornerstone of College Game Day. He will make his final Game Day appearance on August 30th, and that will be it. Of course, his humor and everything that he brings to the show. This is what Rece Davis wrote. He said his humor and irreverence were revolutionary for media covering college football and set the trend for following generations. In a sport built on nostalgia and tradition, there was no pregame moment more iconic than Lee Corso putting on the mascot head. Saturday kickoffs just could not be official until Corso put on the mascot head. It's an authentic signature moment that resulted from his remarkable sense of how to connect with people. Kirk Herbstreet also sharing love for the 89-year-old. Herbstreet called him on Friday to share what was being said. And Corso asked Herbstreet, "Can you put up on Facebook or Twitter or whatever it is how much I appreciate all the well wishes? It really means a lot to me." Like I said, August 30th, week 1 of the college football season will be Corso's last appearance on College Game Day. And that week, ESPN will celebrate Corso's career, which at ESPN, which began in 1987, and it'll culminate with what might be the final headgear selection in Game Day history. On Thursday, Kirk Herbstreet called Corso a once-in-a-lifetime person and broadcaster. The pair have worked together on the show since 1996. Herbstreet saying, it's hard to let go, I'm sure, but he really sounds like he's at peace and it's the right time. God bless him. He is the best. Now, what's going to happen with the game day, headgear? What becomes of the headgear picking segment? Do a celebrity guest picker. The best part is it ends with put on the headgear. Well, Rece Davis asked by CNN, he said, I think I'm going to have to tackle anybody that tries to do a headgear pick other than Lee Corso. That to me is his signature moment, and it should stay with him in my judgment. And I will fight very hard not to be overruled or vetoed on that, because many people tell me it's just something they look forward to every week. I think that is his and his alone. So, look, Rece, there may be some people who disagree with Rece, and I might be one of them. I mean, look, Nick Saban or Pat McAfee, look, Saban, they've made Saban do some things that make him look kind of uncomfortable. But I think that would be fantastic if Nick Saban took that on. Now, look, Saban, how many years is he going to be on game day? 9, 10 years. He's already up there in age. Give it to Pat McAfee. McAfee could do this for another 20, 30 years, whatever. I don't know. I just think that is a big staple of the show, and it would be a shame to see the headgear pick go. But I get what he's saying. It was Corso's thing. He started. It became iconic. But it's also a part of the fabric of the show. The whole point in doing the celebrity guest picker is to bring out a celebrity to make their picks, and then it's going to end with Corso doing something silly and putting the helmet on or dressing up like a leprechaun or bringing out a live duck with the Oregon duck. So, I don't know. Maybe they come up with something new. But show will roll on. And look, it's one of my favorite shows. I've said that for the longest. College Game Day. I love SEC Network. And their show that they do, SEC Nation. I've been on behind the scenes on the set there. I think Paul Feinbaum and Jordan Rogers and Roman Harper and all those guys, Tim Tebow, they all do a fantastic job. But to me, Game Day is always just it's premier, numero uno. Like it is the greatest college football show. And I've worked with those guys before the past years and years ago when they've come to different campuses and working behind the scenes and seeing all the work that goes into all the prep and everything to get on set, live on a college campus, and all the different volunteers that come out of the woodwork at all these schools that help, lend a hand, whether it be pulling cable, whether it be going to set up snacks and waters for the crew, whatever it is. Those people bust their ass and do a really good job. But again, show will lose a little bit of its iconic pieces. I mean, look, it did when you lost Chris Fowler, but Rece Davis slid in that chair and seamlessly transitioned. Some people were not a fan of, the addition of Pat McAfee. They lost David Pollack, of course, was a part of the show for a couple years, and he moved on. Desmond Howard's still part of it. I mean, again, the show has had different people come and go and all this throughout the years, but to me, the headgear pick, I think just find if you don't want to do that, then you need to find something similar to it to keep that going. All right. Thank you guys for making a Locked On SEC your first listen every day. For your second listen, you can check out Locked On NFL Draft with Damian Parson and Keith Sanchez as your favorite collegiate players get ready for the next level. Get the latest draft rankings, rumors, and news every day. Find Locked On NFL Draft on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. I'm Chris Gordy. This has been Locked On SEC. Have a great weekend, everybody. We will talk to you on Monday. Come on back and see us then.